On TV and streaming, it's far easier, and I said it before this, and I'll continue saying it because there is an equal and easy opportunity, but where the money lies with the man, it's still very tough. And like I said, I might be going against the tide and saying this, but a lot of women wait for their husbands to buy their tickets in the theater. The choice of movies, that's where I was actually going at. Because you know what happens is, see, TV, streaming, these are platforms and they're great. But when you talk about a really like a high-end, high big budget, 100 crore film, and you say, okay, Deepika is there or Alia is there, definitely the film because they're led by these women. But when you start talking about slightly radical topics about women, on film and extremely conservative mediums like television, there's still resistance. I'd like to point out something. I personally, I'm a firm believer that in the last 30 years, from the time I came and people were calling me lady producer, there's a huge change. No one really knew what how can a producer be a woman? And me and my mom started the company, people said, why aren't you using your dad's name? He is the big name. You both are the flunkies on the side. And from there it's changed a lot, but just recently this happened. I went for a meeting and I went with a friend of mine who's another producer, he's a boy, and there were a lot of executives. And there were lots of men in the room. And in 5 minutes, they had made a circle of people standing, and for almost 5 minutes, I was standing alone. And I was in shock because I was like, okay, this is funny. Why is this happening? And then a few minutes later, a few women were there and I was supposed to go and stand with them. And I was in a bit of a shock, and this was like this high-end, top brass executive meeting. And I turned around and I told my friend, I said, does this happen often? And he said, I don't know. I really made it a point after that to ask a lot of women working in a few organizations around there. And they said, we are in a room and normally someone will turn around and say, okay, when these girls leave, we'll crack that joke. And I felt so like upset, not because of anything else, but because if it can happen to me at where I stand, which I feel is a bit, I've so-called reached somewhere, how tough it must be for women to feel included, and therefore I feel we still are a long way because the mindset in so many organizations still hasn't changed.
Richa, you must be facing the pressure in multiple directions. You're also known as being really outspoken. You don't hesitate to speak your mind. You're on social media, taking it on, fighting trolls. You don't seem to care what anybody is saying. Do you have people looking at you and saying, "Bhai, ये सब क्यों बोलती हो? थोड़ा low profile हो जाओ. Why are you so controversial? ज़्यादा बोलती हो. क्यों कहने की ज़रूरत है?"
अब तो बहुत कम बोलती हूँ मैं, as compared to what I was like. I think.
Not that sure. I've been seeing recent tweets.
I honestly, well, people say that yeah, but don't be outspoken, but then there's the reverse also. They're like, wow, you're so courageous, for instance, and that can make your day, and it'd be nice to hear. I really don't think that we should bother, honestly, because social media is meant to democratize voice. Like everyone can have a voice, and you can also have anonymity. So then there's no like, in very few cases will you follow up trolling with a complaint. And like I was telling you back there, I go and look at the DP of the person trolling me and I'm like, बेचारा, and you know, then you just feel like उसका पेंट पील हो रहा है, वो दुखी लग रहा है, बिल्कुल ना खुश लग रहा है ज़िंदगी से, तो 2 बार कुछ बोल के खुश हो रहा है, तो हम like ठीक है भाई. Plus there's record unemployment, and then these things are also paid gigs, so I'm like, good for you. You're making bread and butter for your family. I support it wholeheartedly. Please go for it.
That's the attitude.